This is Eddie Hearn, Matchroom Boxing. You're watching Sporting Icons. You don't need to be anywhere else.
So the rematch between Anthony Joshua and Oleksandr Usyk is July the 23rd in Saudi Arabia. Allegedly, apparently, according to various news articles flying around today. Now, there's no official word from Matchroom and Eddie Hearn as to is that true or is it not. We don't know yet. So we are still waiting for official confirmation. Why that's taken so long is beyond me. No idea. But that said, one of the questions that people have been asking ever since Joshua lost the first fight with Usyk is, what happens if he loses again to Usyk? What happens to his star power? What happens to his profile? What happens to him and his ability to sell out stadiums and demanding large purses? And what happens to Anthony Joshua and in his place in the current heavyweight landscape? What happens? Now, in my mind, it's very, very simple. There's nothing wrong with fighters taking losses. But, of course, it will depend on how you lost. For sure, of course it will. So if Anthony Joshua loses a very, very close fight, where maybe he got dropped, and maybe he drops Usyk in that fight, and Usyk just about wins on points, that'll be a factor. What happens if Oleksandr Usyk beats up Anthony Joshua for a few rounds and then knocks him out? Again, then you're talking about something different. Okay. Now, I know a lot of people will already have it in their minds. That's it. He should retire. He's no good. He's a bum. Quite clearly, he's exposed and he's blah, 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 blah. Well, again, that says more about these people than it does about Anthony Joshua. Because clearly they don't understand about boxing. They think people should only fight and box if they're consistently winning. Good thing these people weren't around when Muhammad Ali took a couple of losses, isn't it? It's a good thing these people weren't around when, say, a Joe Frazier defeated a Muhammad Ali, lost to him twice, or got bounced up and down off the canvas on 2 occasions by George Foreman. And it's a good thing that they weren't around when Lennox Lewis got knocked out twice, once to Oliver McCall, the other one to Hasim Rahman. It's a good thing that they weren't around when Mike Tyson lost on a few occasions, really. Same with Evander Holyfield. Same with many fighters. But we're not in those eras anymore. We're in the emotional kind of era where people are glory hunters, I suppose. But again, that says more about them than it does about the people that they allegedly support. Now, I noticed that when Anthony Joshua lost to Andy Ruiz Jr., of course, in the first fight where he lost, a lot of people got quite emotional about that. A lot of people unsubscribed from me and many other channels, and I'm not watching boxing anymore. It's over. I've had enough, and blah, blah, blah. Then, of course, Anthony Joshua, he defeats Usyk in the rematch. He defeats Ruiz in the rematch. Suddenly, all those subscribers, they come back to me and other platforms, and Joshua's Twitter and Instagram followers go back up to the levels and all that kind of stuff. I said that says more about these people than it does about Anthony Joshua or anything else. Hey, what can you do? What can you do? Now, there's nothing wrong with fighters taking losses. And again, it does depend on who you lose to and how you lose as well. Likewise, if Tyson Fury was to lose his next fight, would he still be relevant or would he be a bum? Of course he'd still be relevant. Of course he would. So if, for example, if Tyson Fury had a loss to Dillian Whyte a couple of weeks back at Wembley Stadium, well, he's still going to have a fan base. He's still going to be a big player in the heavyweight division. He's still going to be commanding high purses, and there's still big fights and that out there for him. Same with Anthony Joshua. Same situation. Same currently with Dillian Whyte. Same with many fighters. I mean, look at Derek Chisora. This guy takes more L's than a learner driver. Okay, he's got so many losses on his record, but yet he still consistently has big fight after big fight, doesn't he? Same thing with Anthony Joshua. Again, those who say, well, Anthony Joshua gets exposed by a cruiserweight in Oleksandr Usyk, shows that he's exposed, he's no good, he's a bum. Well, again, that's a lot of people who wish that to happen because they just don't like Anthony Joshua for their own personal reasons. And listen, I'm not here to tell you who you should and shouldn't be supporting. But that says more about them, and especially with their boxing knowledge. If you don't even know Oleksandr Usyk and how good he is and what his resume is, then that shows your lack of boxing knowledge. It does. Usyk, gold medalist at the Olympic Games, won how many titles as an amateur? Many, many, many. Beat up and buzzed and dropped much bigger guys than Anthony Joshua in the amateurs. Even defeated Joe Joyce and many others. As a professional, he's still undefeated. He's a southpaw. He's awkward. He went to the countries of different world champions and dethroned them to become an undisputed cruiserweight world champion. And look what he's done in the heavyweight division and that already. But losing to Usyk, what? Is that embarrassing? Is that shameful? If you believe that it is, I think you need to be watching a little bit more boxing. Okay? Now, Joshua will always be able to command a big purse. He'll always be able to command pay-per-view. He'll always be able to fill out stadiums. That's just the profile of Anthony Joshua. And again, a lot of it is because he comes across as a very likable person. People like him. Men like him. Women like him. Children like him. He's a very, very likable person outside the ring, so people will support him. Not everybody. Yes, he will lose a few followers on Instagram and Twitter and whatever else, and I'll probably lose a few more subscribers until he has another fight, and then he wins again, and then these people will come back again. Such is the life of a boxing fan, right? But there's still plenty of big fights out there for him. So if he does lose to Usyk, which again I'll clarify, I believe that he can beat Usyk, and I believe that he will beat Usyk in the rematch. Do I know that for a fact? No, of course not. Of course not. But there's still big fights out there for him, even if he does. There's still a Tyson Fury fight that many people would like to see. But again, Joshua losing to Usyk, does that mean he can't beat Fury? Don't be so mad. Much like if Anthony Joshua defeats Usyk in the rematch, does that mean that he definitely beats Tyson Fury? No, of course not. Don't be mad. Of course not. But there's fights with Tyson Fury. I mean, that would still be huge. A rematch with Dillian White. A fight with Deontay Wilder. A fight with Joe Joyce. A fight with Filip Hrgovic or Tony Yoka. There's so many out there. Martin Bakole even, whoever. Okay, there's still plenty of big fights out there for Anthony Joshua. He's still got a few years left in the game. He's still got another 10, 15 fights left in him at the top end. If, of course, he wants it. Again, a lot of it will be down to his own desire. It will be. And he's good for boxing, especially British boxing. I mean, how many people were interested in the sport of boxing before Anthony Joshua came along? Not as many as there is now. That's for sure. And I've made reference to this before, which is you have to give massive, massive credit to Tyson Fury as well. He's the one who went to Germany, Dusseldorf, and dethroned the nearly a decade reigning unified heavyweight champion in Vladimir Klitschko. But then unfortunately for Tyson Fury, he went off the rails and went on to do like his own thing for the best part of 2.5, 3 years. So I've said it a few times and I'll say it again. Tyson Fury unlocked the door. But then because he disappeared, Anthony Joshua kicked that door off its hinges and got a lot of people back into boxing, a lot of new people into boxing. Boxing is as popular as what it is now because of an Anthony Joshua, or at least a huge part of it. So it's good for Anthony Joshua if he was to defeat Oleksandr Usyk as far as the sport is concerned. People look to Anthony Joshua as a role model. He's a guy who wasn't really following the right path at one point in his life, and he turned it all around, and now look at him. So, same with Tyson Fury. You know, he went off the rails, and with his mental depression, all that kind of thing. Look at the comeback. He's an inspiration to a lot of people. Fury's an inspiration. Joshua's an inspiration. So, yeah, these people are good for the sport. Of course they are. They're good for British boxing. And hopefully we get to see them two have a fight at some point anyway. But anyway, listen, that's my thoughts on this whole situation. If Anthony Joshua was to lose to Usyk, and what? Plenty of fighters lose. And there's still plenty of big fights out there for him. Okay. Anyway, my thoughts. Drop me yours. Click thumbs up. Subscribe. Catch you on the next video.